Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful Saturday on the Young Women and Wives with Burdens and Blessings discussion platform. So when we came in, we were listening to a very jivey instrumental, and we just used that to kind of keep the atmosphere, ready for what we are about to discuss tonight. My name is Rosemary Henrieze, and I am the coordinator of the initiative. Now, the initiative runs several programs, and what we are for is to ensure that the woman is helped. The woman is helped. The woman is wholeness is at the core of what we do. And this discussion platform is one of our medium of reaching out to women, irrespective of ethnicity, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of race, just to reach out to the woman as to let the woman know that help is always readily available. The thing is that a lot of people, by virtue of experience that they have had or undergone, no longer believe or trust in humanity. They no longer really believe or that there's anyone out there who can actually or really help them, to go through whatever it is that you are going through. Dear woman, please know that this platform, we are here to help you. So on this platform, we look at every topic, that can be imagined. We touch generally a woman's life, as a human being, as a woman, and as, a career person, a business person, a parent, an individual, and everything. We ensure that you are helped, wherever, state or status or position you may currently find yourself. Thank you so much. So tonight we're looking at the topic, the freedom of being disliked as a woman. Taking, embracing a purpose as against one popularity. When this topic, when we thought to look at this topic, we decided to look at this topic from the perspective of the fact that a woman generally is, from the time she's, she came into this world, is came into this world with a mindset already on ground for her of how she should be, she should act, she should live, and all that, a form of conditioning that has been, set in place for her, a form of mold. She's been told to live a particular set of life. But then we have found out that when you as a person or as a woman is really after and all about being liked, being wanted, being needed, being like that, it has its challenges. And on this platform, we're very particular about relatable experiences, because we do professional knowledge, we do theory, but we are very key on practical experiences. So what does it look like for a woman when you are being disliked? What does it look like for you as a woman when you are being disliked, or as a person? But now, because we actually for the woman, as a woman, what does it look like? The woman who is disliked, what does it look like for her? So we're going to be looking at it from a three main perspective, and one of it is the honest and experimental perspective, and then we have the healthy and realistic perspective, and also have the spiritual perspective. Now in this three perspectives, we're going to delve into extensively about what it takes, and I'm going to also be sharing my personal experience as to what the impact of being disliked and how to maximize that. One thing that we should as a woman realize, a woman who is experiencing any form of dislike, you should know that you are not here to please people. And now, pleasing people in the sense that you are not here to live for people. You are here to live for you. Now, you is encompassing you in everything you have become, and in every area of your life that you have become. So even in your expression as an individual, in your expression as a parent, your expression as in relating with your fellow human, and also in your expression in your workplace, the business place, and everything, you need to understand that there is a need for you to live authentically, and not to live below what you have been created, or who you have been created to be. Now, when we talk about the honest and experimental method, let's look at the silent burden of the good woman syndrome. I spoke earlier, I mentioned that we as women come into this world with that expectation of, oh, this is what a woman should do, this is who a woman should be, this is how a woman should look like. So there's this expectation of the good woman syndrome already laid down, conditioned for you as a woman to live with. You practically come into the world and you meet such. So you now found out that that good woman syndrome, even though it has its own advantage, it also has its own disadvantage. But the bulk of it moves towards the disadvantage. Oh, thank you so much, Busayo. How are you? Good to hear from you. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. So the good woman syndrome is more of a perfectionist prison. You want to make everybody see you as the one who is perfect. You want to make everyone see you as the one who is worthy. Last week we spoke extensively on what is the impact of people pleasing. That we spoke on you having to pause from proving that you don't have to earn your worth, because your worth is already in it. Your worth is there. You don't have to prove to anyone. That was what we looked at. So that was more like a bedrock of what the rest of the things that we're going to be speaking on in this month on this discussion platform. So here I said the perfectionist prison. We're often conditioned from childhood to be accommodating, to be sweet, and to be conflict averse. The woman is not expected to be quote and unquote to quote and unquote set boundaries. The woman is not a woman who realizes her worth and sets boundary early is seen as difficult or as impossible or hard to deal with. So when it comes to being disliked, that freedom to actually embrace it is what we're looking at this night. Now, because the freedom that lies in being disliked is in that you are able to live your authentic self. You understand what I'm saying? When you are, as I said, breaking out of this mode, of this good woman syndrome, he said it will help, of this mode to pursue a distinct purpose can make people label you as difficult. When you do not follow what people have set down, what they have been conditioned for you. Now let's try to differentiate something. There is a difference between when you are being when you are under your parents and you are being trained, you are being guided and guided through life. You understand what I'm saying? Even as parents, when we are carrying out this responsibility, this duty as parents, we find out that parents actually help or lead their children, or their girls especially, because we're talking about girls, to become molded into that good woman syndrome. Whereas the woman is a being who has been created to be authentic in herself. She has been created to not stay put in the prison of perfection. And most of all these, outlined conditioning are actually man-made. So as you begin to struggle and pursue to be liked, to be appreciated, to be said to be the good woman that everyone presumably wants to be. When you do that, everybody, they like you. But the question now is that in trying to please everyone, are you living your authentic self? Because really, when you are pleasing, when all you live for is to please another person, you are not actually carrying out or fulfilling your own, life purpose and worth. So how do you live authentically, realistically, in a non-honest and experimental, to take step away from the good woman syndrome to actually, Lord, live authentically as a human being, as a woman? So when you start to set boundaries, people try to say you are difficult. And then another thing also is that when you realize, when that self-awareness is you actually walk into that, the depth of self-awareness, there is every tendency that you will outgrow a lot of relationships. Yes, you will outgrow a lot of relationships. You will outgrow relationship that either to or before then meant a lot to you. But one thing I found out is that once in a while, let me say often, once in a while, or rather depending on the decision that you decide to take on, you need to sift your circle or the relationship around you. You need to sift her. You need to even sift her, even your own, the relationship that has, your own family. You need to see that. You need to weigh so many things. You need to look at the way you are being seen. You need to look at the way, even your family members, act towards you, what they do, what value do they place on you. Because, even though blood might sometimes connect, but somehow as we all journey through the life, people begin to learn different vices. They begin to learn different vices. So as a woman, you need to be sufficiently self-aware of your worth, so that as you go through the journey of life, you'll be able to define the values that you stand by. There's this saying that says that if you don't have what you stand for, you fall for anything. And as you go through and begin to define your worth, your value, you begin to define your value, you will see that relationship will begin to suffer. Some relationships will begin to suffer, because especially relationship that hitherto or before then have benefited from your weakness, have benefited from your good woman syndrome. They will begin to call you names. They will begin to say this. And now the thing is that it is healthy that you realize this early. It is healthy that you realize this early, so that you don't have, you don't waste a lot of time. You don't waste time, waste years of your life. And then you go back later and say, this I should have done this if I had done this. There's one thing that I have come to realize, and that is, which is a thing that we hear people say every day. You are responsible for who you turn out to be, how you turn out to be, the things that people throw at you, the things that people give to you, the things that people say to you, the things that people do to you. You are responsible for it. You are responsible for how people carry you, how people treat you. Yes. And now you say, I don't determine how people react. Yes. Now, you do not determine how people react. But how do you take, actions done towards you? How do you take them? How do you assess them? Do you have a healthy esteem? Is your esteem healthy enough to be able to, sift her when somebody is trying to make of non-effect who you are? Do you have, is your esteem, healthy enough? When I talk about esteem, I'm not even talking about, because of the materialistic mindset that we have as human beings. You feel that, oh, because you don't have money, oh, because you don't have money, so you don't have, like they will say in Africa, in Nigerian palace, you don't have mouth, you don't have a say. No. Last week we elaborated on that, telling us that, see, your worth, whatever it is that you define as your worth, has nothing to do with whether you are educated, you are rich, you have money, no. Your worth existed even before you touched down on the surface of the earth. So you have to learn to break out of that mode, of the good girl syndrome or the good woman syndrome, to pursue your distinctive your distinctive and authentic self. And let them label you difficult. Let them label you impossible. There's something that there are a lot of things that I as a person, I think most part of my life, my adult life, both career and everywhere, I have come across to people as difficult and impossible. As difficult and impossible. And there were times that it took me so much time to, because all those periods that people were terming me difficult and impossible and all that, there were times or periods where for someone who has realized her worth, and for someone who knows what her value and worth is, you understand now, I was not ready to bend the value that I stand by or stand with. Today I was I was in a phone call conversation with a colleague back home in Nigeria where I worked, and we were talking extensively, and I remember that during the period where I worked, this my colleague was part of the people that, I remember this colleague calling me, say, Rosemary, everybody don't like you. In this, is it possible that everybody don't like you? People say you are difficult, you are this. And I remember telling the person, I said, well, no problem. You know why? Because I have set out the values that I want to live by. And I do not want to go away from those values. Because those values are values that I have seen it will keep me sane, will keep me from trouble, will keep me, focused, will keep me safe. So while we're going through the discussion, we're talking about some other colleagues and everything, and and the guys, the person said something, and I laughed. I said, see, those years when people were saying I was difficult, you people know that it was because they wanted me to break my value of honesty and integrity. So even though I was in a position to utter figures, I was in a position to quote and unquote embezzle, you understand, and nobody will know for a long time. A lot of people did it, and but then I said one thing I was always consistent on and saying to my colleague then was this. I said, see, I do not have anything to contend with the devil with as a Christian. And they say, what do you mean the contend with the devil? I said, I do not have anything that I will owe the devil. I said, let it be that whatever it is not by my own doing. It's not by something like that. I said, for anything that I intentionally and deliberately do, I said, I must. The law of life would demand that I pay for it. And I do not have that payment to make for something that I can actually decide not to do. So I had a lot of, rancor. I had a lot of issues with, I worked in construction. I had a lot of issues with, subcontractors. I had a lot of issues with colleagues. My goodness, you will come to, I remember a particular scenario where before, a contractor said I had beating him, and I beat him, and he fell to the floor, and then his body is not held, he's okay, he's dying, and and do you know one thing, that on that particular project, because I work in construction, we had over 300 staff. We had over 300. There was no one, not even one single person, that stood in my defense. No one. There was no one that stood in my defense. And the thing was so loud. Who said it? She's a terrible person. She's a bad person. She's a bad person. She's not this. But I was insistent on what my values were. I lived by values and principles. And I realized very early that people don't like to live by values, by integrity, and and that people would rather, when things seem difficult, that they would rather give in, because they can't really bear the pain. And and all these things happened many years ago, while I was in Nigeria working as a professional. I had another example. I had a situation, where there was a contractor who would come to waste disposal. That's the way it is back in Nigeria. It just simple example, waste disposal. So the guy came and and asked me, "Oh, how much should I write in the receipts?" And I said, "I don't understand the question." And now this is not because I am holy. No, this is because I have mapped out the way I want to live. He said, "Well," I said, "I don't understand this your question." He said, "How much did I write now?" I said, "How much is it?" Oh, he said, "Let's say 10,000 naira." I said, "Oh, so why are you asking me?" And the guy turned back and said, "This one there, you are trying to prove that you are pious." I said, "No, it has nothing to do with pious. I'm not even doing it because I want to save money for my." I said, "I'm doing it for myself and for my, children." I said, because there is no vacuum in nature. There is no vacuum. What you sow, you will reap. So by virtue of honest and experiential this is what I'm giving you. So you will, because when you decide to do what, to pursue a distinct purpose. For me, it was the purpose of integrity. Nothing breaks it. And the funny thing is that till tomorrow, nothing breaks it. Nothing breaks it. While I was discussing with this, my colleague, while I was discussing with this, my colleague, I said, even though I have left, traveled and relocated abroad into Nigeria, I said, do you know that I still get people, clients, colleags who need services of people, and they'll call me from Nigeria. I say, QS Rosemary, please get me an honest person, get me somebody who is faithful. Somebody who is, I say, because you are a faithful person, you are a person of integrity. So you will get disliked when you try to define your let people know that you have value. When you try to pop, I said breaking out of this mode to pursue a distinct purpose can make people label you as difficult or changed. Then another outgrowing relationship. Be completely honest about the grief of outgrowing certain. You're going to outgrow relationship. You're going to outgrow. For those of us who, I remember when my husband was working in a particular working, and then so I kept he would come home, say, we are going to do this trailer, we're going to. So I there was one I couldn't hold in any longer. I said, please, so how much is your salary? And how much are you bringing in? How come you are bringing in this particular amount at this time? Now, this is just an example, in terms of integrity, it's just an example. And I said, I said, please, as you are doing this, please do not spend this money for me and my children. Me, I can even control and not collect. I say, do not spend it on my children. Whatever it is, please make sure you do not spend it. I said, because it's the money, if you cannot explain to me how this correlates into your earning, your salary, if you cannot explain what it stands for, what it represents, or what it is for, then I do not desire to be a part of it. Neither do I want my children to be part of it. He said, when you step into your light and establish intentionality in your life, it can mirror other people's stagnation, causing them to withdraw or criticize. So when you step, when you step into your light and establish intentionality in your life, that it can mirror other people's stagnation, causing them to withdraw or criticize. So that is one of it. In terms of outgrowing or losing relations, I have lost a lot of relationship, which I don't count it as lost. I count it as siftery. I have sifted a lot of relationship because with our values do not align. And that thing is that that era where you are going through that when you are being termed difficult, or you are being impossible, or whatever it is, terminologies where they decide to use for you, it can be a very challenging time. In one of my places of work that I worked at about 5 years, it got to a time that they were always looking for reasons or opportunities to have me fired. And today I was discussing because this my colleague happened to be, we worked together in that, I told him a story of how my direct boss, had already planned my resignation. And delivered it to HR. However, I have resigned on 2 days before he submitted his own. He didn't even know. I had sent my resignation letter because I was relocating. So I had sent my resignation. I had discussed with my project manager on the project I was working, and I had sent him my resignation letter. Thank God for the Holy Spirit. So I had sent my resignation letter, and then I got called 2 days after by the human resource, and that my boss has reported me, and what he has reported me. So and then there's every possibility that I this and I have to. I smiled. Now what happened? Because of the fact that I had principles, and one of the principles I also have, which I carry into the work that I do, is what? Record keeping, accountability, being meticulous. See, I am a sticker. Aside the fact that my profession, as a point of view, asks that I be meticulous, I am someone who loves, to keep good record. I'm someone who loves to be detailed. I'm someone who loves to be detailed. That one of the things I used to say to people is that I do my work in such a way that even someone who is not a professional in our field should be able to come and read it. Or that even if, for example, that I'm to serve as an expert witness, as a professional who is knowledgeable in a field, when my work is brought to the panel or arbitration, whatever that it should give clarity. It should be comprehensive enough for even the layman to grasp. So now you would say, oh, don't say that you are not perfect. Sometimes you can be doing the wrong thing. Did I not? That's not what I'm saying. I remember when someone called me, when we did my boss, and someone called me and said, I should just buy him a drink and take to him and kneel down and beg him. Now there's one problem that I have, and it's not a problem, but it might be a problem for people, or rather it was a problem for a lot of people. And that is the fact that if I know that I have done right, you understand now? It's not that I stay and say, oh, I'm saying I am very diplomatic about, standing my ground. So in terms of honest and experimental, why are you, still living and working in the good woman syndrome? And there's something I was saying to my colleague, my Canadian colleague the other day. I said, I am not nice, but I am kind. She looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, I am not nice, I am kind. I said, nice people are easily manipulated. I said, but kindness is from a place, you understand now, of humanity. And I wrote down, I said, the nice versus kind distinction. I said, the realization that often comes from a place of fear. So being nice is from a place of fear. Your place of, oh, if they do not like me. If they do not like me, I'm not going to, I will not be comfortable. I will not, to belong. I need to be in a place where, I'm liked. There was a topic I saw. There was something that the need for you to be liked. And if, as much as I go with that, that the perspective was shared, it's good to be liked. But for how long will you live your life with desiring for people to like you? People will not like you. There is this law of human nature that says that I jotted there, 20% of people. Wait, let me go through it. 20% of people don't even okay, 20% of people will like you. 60 don't even know whether you exist. And the rest 20 don't give a damn. They're not concerned about your life. So you can imagine. So only 20% are interested in your existence. 60 are not even taking note whether you are existing or you are not. You are here. The law of the human nature. So in your bid to fulfill the 20%, you have while away. I would not want to say waste. You have while away years of your life. And there's one thing that the human nature, it acts like what you continue to do. What you continue to do gradually becomes a part of who you are. Gradually becomes who you are. So why will you sit in the good woman syndrome so that people will like you? Why are you afraid of being disliked? Why are you running away from the freedom of being disliked in order for you to embrace purpose? Why? Why? Why are you running away from that? Dear woman, have a rethink today. Sit down and have a rethink today. Why are you? I always say something, there's a way I love to hold discussions. And, when something is said, I like to see the many possible sides to it, and not just like the one way. And for me, I had a lot of difficulty. I've shared on this platform how I for a long time for a long time, whatever it is I am certain of now, not my value. Now we're talking about value now, being standing firm on your values. But the one I'm not, whatever it is I am certain of or about, for a long time I stuck to it. They will just say stuck to my gun. I stuck to it. Especially because I have done due diligence, I have done work, and I have proven, I have assessed that, and it is something that I can stand and be accountable to. I don't really like doing anything that I cannot own. I cannot boldly stand and say, I did it. Yes, I did it. And, face the consequences of it. And it is not that I came to it's just that part of the values I decided to, I kind of imbibed and made part of how I want my life structured. So now let's go to the other one, No, okay, I said, that being nice, you're afraid because you want approval. But why now? I said, why being kind comes from a place of love and truth of humanity, which sometimes requires saying a firm, unpopular no. I am a parent, so I will tell you, like we all know, the parenting school is is not consistent, as in the sense, not consistent. I'm not really consistent, as in every new things come your way, so you cannot beat your chest and say, oh, I'm a perfect parent. No. I think with the few years that I've been a parent, I've come to that conclusion. So one thing I've observed is that you keep, finding how to, thrive, or how to make, health, so, parenting healthy. So I I was saying to my son, my first son, I said to him, I said, I don't understand what you are doing, because this of money, money. So he has come to speak on this platform, and he did an expose, let me put it that way, on the or what. I'm aside the fact that I'm a woman, so I don't really know what teenage boys go through, but we just want to help the mother, that to close that gap, of that, that gap between mothers and their sons. And one of the things that our speakers came to do, which my son was one of the speaker, was saying that sometimes when he doesn't have money, that it can be depressing for him as a. I said, what? I thought not having money is for older men who already have responsibility. The responsibility, you do not have responsibility. There's nobody that you are spending money on. I am the one spending. Your parents are your parents the ones spending on you, and being responsible for you. So what is the issue of money? So I told him, well, after the program, I called him and I said, dear, I understand what you say. I said, I said, but I want to also tell you one thing, that you cannot, if you don't imbibe discipline and structure, I said, you will continue to complain, because no money will ever be enough for you. I said, so you have to mold. I said that you continue to complain. That means that your life will be, anytime you are, that's one thing we generally say. We say, well, anytime a man that man is sad, is cranky. I think it's a condition, or that they now carry. So I said, no. I said, because see, you cannot, I always tell you that you cannot have everything. You cannot. Nobody has everything in this life. So as you go, you do what? You make, you extract what is needed for you as you go through the journey of life. So let's look at the second perspective we are looking at this topic. The freedom of being disliked. Embracing purpose over popularity. I think for me, my years of going through the walls of being disliked gave me popularity. But I think maybe for the popularity is because I'm a very I'm a very boisterous, jovial, lively. I'm not really a quiet person, but when I tell people that there's this there's a quiet side to me, they doubt it, because the loud side is more prominent. I think as over the years be more put out there. Now, the healthy and realistic perspective to this topic tonight: emotional regulation and self-preservation. All the years I was trying to put out my values and get people to understand why I can not do some things and why I do not wish to do some things, and even though it doesn't really go with what they want or what they like, it doesn't really favor them, I also would admit that I did it how would I put it now? There were a lot of things that had to do with my not being able to control my emotion, my not being able to regulate my emotion. So I remember I would lash out at a, let's say, at a contractor who wants me to be feeling funny with, with his work. I will lash out. But then I would not, that lashing out is not a, is does not come at that particular, maybe the first time. No, it doesn't really come at the first time. Because when I found out that when they come to you and they say, you just smile. One thing I usually did first, I would just smile. I'll say, yes, I've heard you. So, but when they now see that you don't do what they want, they begin to pressure. They bring different gimmicks and different stuff, and there's I get pushed to the wall, and I just scream, like, let me be. What's that? You understand? But one thing I found out that when you have if you are the one that defines the value that you live by, it is even when it becomes, when there's pressure to deviate from it. You understand what I'm saying? That if it has become some part and parcel of how you live your life, it is always very difficult to fall. You see. And while when I come to the value of integrity, one of the ways that I try to make sure that it becomes part of how I live and what my life is that I learned to, I told myself, okay, what is it that would make this firm solid? You understand? What that makes sense? So I learned contentment. I learned improvisation. So if you find someone who is contented, who has the skill of improvisation, carrying them away with material things can be impossible. So I kind of like taught myself that it is what I buy for myself. You understand now? I don't buy for myself that with what I earn, with the money that I earn, that should be what brings me joy. So not that I'm looking at, I remember some contractors then will just come and they will give me cash gift, and I'll say, oh, explain it. I don't. In fact, one of the things I used to do also was that I would ask them to, they'll say, oh, madam, please, we want to give you something. I'll say, okay, fine. Please, can you go to this my colleague, maybe my boss? Can you go to this, maybe my direct boss, who may not be the owner of the company, and can you go and okay, we have a structure where we bring everything together and then we share. I know one of the things is that most times they say, madam, no, it's you that want to give something. I say, I know. So when they give that money, you understand that, for example, let's say the contractor is like 500,000 naira. He actually wants to give me that 5,000 naira, 500,000 naira. That's my Nigerian, because I'm from Nigeria, that 500,000 naira, and not to give for everybody. So, but when he now goes ahead, okay, man, and gives my direct boss the 500,000 naira. My direct boss will take 50 to 60% of that money and give the rest of us. I remember what I got was 5,000 naira, and the man had given us about 300 or 400,000 naira. I think it was crazy, but then that is by the way. So, but these were sacrifices that I decided to make concerning in building my and standing on values that is a, but that is rosemary. So for you to thrive in whatever it is, in purpose, in fulfilling purpose, you need to and you need to learn the skills to thrive when the darts of dislike, I don't want to say hate now, dislike comes to you. Now okay, so a healthy and realistic, emotional regulation and self-preservation. I think we over time I started learning, how to deal with emotions and how to control emotion. But that, if what I was doing was just, improving on how to relate. But that never, my values never would got watered down. I never took it out for anyone. So I had to learn breath control. I had to learn emotional intelligence, because yes, emotional intelligence is a skill. You have to learn it. So, instead of, being outrightly blunt, I now would, I started with, as I could respond to you with rhetorically. And then somehow, if you're smart enough, you would see your foolishness. So now I say, how did that, I said this. I said one of these is emotional regulation and self-preservation. One of the things I like, just like what I said, de-escalating the need for defense. My goodness, for a long time, because I just could not understand why people just chose to hate me for was standing by, doing right. I said to myself, don't these people see that, doing the right thing is good? And I remember a conductor telling me that even our nation, Nigeria, is corrupt, even leadership is corrupt. And I said to him, I said, see, if it remain, if there's anything that he say, I said, my values will come true for me one day. My values will come through for me one day. I said, the values of integrity, honesty, right, that I chose, I said, will always come true for me one day. And believe you me, yes. Like I mentioned earlier, I said, I am here. I'm not in Nigeria. But people, I will get my clients or propose, people who have projects. I'm like, Rosemary, please connect me with somebody with integrity. I need to get a project done. I need to get PP. I need to get, because do you understand what I'm saying now? I need to do this. Please connect me with somebody. And now I'm not talking about perfectionism. No, I'm talking about, because when you are more about being perfect, perfectionism, you can miss it somewhere along the way. But when you build values, when your life is is lived on values and principles, it becomes a part and parcel of you. I was telling a friend recently, so this immigration stuff, that the work that we are doing, that she's not able to do that. And I said, my sister, whatever it is I find myself doing, whatever it is that is work, he said, I will do it like it's the best work. I said, I'm not doing it for the owner of the work. I said, I'm doing it for myself. I said, because I do not want to become I do not want to do poor job. I don't want mediocrity to become a part of me. And she's not a Nigerian, she's a Jamaican. She looked at me, she said, what do you mean? I said, yeah. I said, because see, you do not know when you begin to live in what you are giving. You begin to your life. You begin to live in what you are giving. So if you give poor job, if you are not faithful, you begin to everything about you begin to, and people see it. But the irony about life is that a lot of people will not say a lot to you for a long time. Our time is fast spent. So, but let me go to discuss the immense, when we talk about immense freedom that comes from choosing not to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It took me a long time to understand that people, that was where I learned that a law of human nature, 20, 60, and 20. 20 is only 20% of people that actually know that you exist. You see, 60 people, they are not even aware that you exist. Then the remaining 20, they don't give a hoot. So why go through that? So so the mental, I said For a long time, I was always this. Oh my God. I remember there was a, I was always trying to explain to people for them to understand where I'm coming from. Do you understand me? That's what I was saying. Do you get, can you look at it? And then it took me time to understand that, see, once somebody have chosen to misunderstand you, see, there is no talking you can do. So, the freedom of being disliked. I was on a project. Well, that is my life anyway. So I was on a project, and a contractor, a plaster contractor posted to got a job, and then and then it was time I did his payment and everything. So he came to me and he was like, madam, was trying to like, and then I laughed. I said, I will never deprive you of your work done. Neither will I shortchange you. I do not shortchange anybody. Neither will I ask you to give me anything. I'm not interested. I said, but if you think you are going to make, or make me things difficult, or you're going to create a scene and start, I said, sit down. Look at your calculation I did of your work. Sit down. Let's do it together. At least you understand. And by the time we finish, you understand that, man? He did not accept. He was not happy. What he just blotted out was like, yeah, you're exactly what they say you are. You're exactly what they say you are. They say that you can do calculation, you do the calculation that you ought to. And I said, my brother, I don't know if you know of the law of equity. He said, what do I say? He that must come to equity must come with clean hands. He said, so if I'm coming to you, I say, I must be able to beat my chest and say that I did you no wrong, that I did your work well. So, the freedom, that mental freedom of not proving to anybody, of not always explaining. It was when I realized that people have already chosen to misunderstand you. And then I went into the mode of what? Of silence. So silence. So when I have tried to make explanation in the first phase of explanation, to give you details of anything, and then you are, so I'm just okay. I think now the people I shout at or shout when they do something are just my kids. I no longer shout or express or frustration with other people again. I no longer do that. And I said to myself, even like in my place of work here, I said to myself, last year, there was a particular colleague that was trying to frustrate me. I just went straight to my supervisor, our supervisor, and said, please, I came here to work professionally. I'm not here to do personal work. I said, even though I spend most part of my day here, I like to, have it healthy. And if the person feels that they cannot work, healthily, please ask them to, stay clear of me when it comes to when they're having emotional, breakdown, or they're having their emotion can no longer. I say, please let everything they do with me be strictly professional. I would like to work on that ground. Oh, and this professor said, oh, sure. And the person and the person came out for a major part of the year, and even this year, the people just snub. I was like they say in Nigeria, I know Sian. I don't go. I've moved. Now that somebody was for those of us who are Christian, but you are a Christian. No, let me delve into that. The Bible never told you to be nice to everybody. The Bible never told you, or God never told you that you should be in everybody's good book. No. Okay. Now, so I just put this. I think there were some things that this urge to this thing that every time you feel that guilt hangover. And put that way, the guilt hangover. When the last place I worked before I came to Nigeria, you understand? Because it was like the whole before, for some sites that I did not even work at, they've heard about me, and they were not good stories. By the time stories start, people will start adding their own, like they say in the Nigerian palace. You know, they will start adding their own. So it got to a time, it began to worry me. It began to disturb me. It began to disturb me. I was like, I want to be, I want to be light. But the thing that the problem that I have, well, I say is the problem. The challenge is that I have so built my values and on values and principles that they outweigh the emotional states or the impact of the hate or dislike that people were channeling towards me. So I could not, it could not, the hate and this and the my emotional, oh, I want people to like me, could not suppress the values, you know. And listen, I say something, you know, it could not. And I said, see, I will not do you bad. And the reason is not because I cannot do you bad. The reason is that I cannot let you have control over me or who I become or who I express. Because that means that that automatically means that you already have, you know, I am living your life. I am living your value. I'm living your, no. So even as a married woman, you know, call my husband today. Call my husband. You know, I don't really know how to pray. I call my husband, ask my husband. I tell my husband, see, oh, now so this is it. Oh. I know my husband, no. It goes strictly against what I stand for. It goes strictly against what I stand for. Because I understand that I am responsible for whoever and whatever it is I become. Okay. You know that time is so now you understand what I'm saying now? So that now you said realistically acknowledge that the first few times you stand your ground or disappoint people, you will feel sick in your stomach. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Those few times, you know, when that hatred is so heavy, and then when you disappoint people, you feel oh, I'm so bad. Yeah. You will feel sick. You will even want to, like, you feel that is my own not too much. It's my own not too much. I say something to women that we work with. I used to tell them, I say, see, in the journey of wholeness, you must ensure that you talk to yourself. You are truthful to yourself. You assess yourself in all honesty. Where you are too much, tell yourself, because you know you are always going to be measuring everything, you know, that you do against the value and the standard, the principle that you live by. That you live by. You always have to always be measuring yourself against those values. So, who is that person? Hello, dear woman. Who are you? You know, that at this juncture or at this point in time, you feel that, you know, you're too much. These people, they don't like me. Do a soul searching and check, what are you not being liked for? There's a difference between being mean and nasty. I'm not talking about being nasty now. But I found out that even people who are nasty are not disliked. It is people who are principled. People who have values that they stand by that are always being disliked. So what are your values? Work on your values. Work on your esteem. One of the things that will really help you is work on having a healthy esteem. Work on on having a healthy esteem. You know, I usually tell people that you cannot praise me more than the way I praise myself. You cannot praise me. You cannot sing my praise or my worth more than the way I praise myself. And that, I will tell you, has really helped my mental state, has really helped me. Okay. Now, I said managing the guilt. I just want to, like, managing the guilt hangover. I said Realistically acknowledge that the first few times you stand your ground or disappoint someone, you will feel sick to your stomach. Teach the people or the group that teach, teach yourself, tell yourself that feeling guilty doesn't mean you made the wrong decision or choice. It just means you are breaking an old habit of people pleasing, of wanting to be in people's good book. Teach yourself. I've spoken about the 20-60, 20 rule of human nature. You understand? I said 20% of people will naturally love you. 60% are indifferent. 20% will simply not vibe with you no matter what you do. So stop fighting for the final 20. Stop fighting for the final 20. Embrace what is it that you stand for. This purpose we talk about often. Or purpose. We have a lot of people that say, what is purpose, safe? When you are saying purpose, how do I realize my purpose? And I have come to find out that your purpose, is enriched. You have enriched from the values, that you have, from the principles that guide your life. So let me do the final one, and I'll be very quick about it. Spiritual and purpose driven, the refiner's fire of misunderstanding. I have to. I told you when we started that we're going to look at it from 3 perspectives, and the last perspective was the spiritual and purpose driven. I said the practicing of discernment. Now, I said when you focus less on human applause, your spiritual ears become clearer to hear divine direction rather than the noisy opinions of the crowd. So your isolation becomes elevation. So now look. I said, look at spiritual pattern where a season of being misunderstood or hidden always precedes a major assignment. Popularity dilutes your message. Purpose, defines you and distincts your message. And honestly, that is the truth. When I tell people that, I lived most of those years and where I was working and everything, there was this heavy dislike, I had, I had discernment. My discernment was very sharp. So, sometimes my preacher would come, Rosemary, I want to do this. I'll say, okay, sir, but I've done it. You say, what did I tell you? I said, no, I just thought to do it, that you might need it. So my discernment became very sharp. And you understand? Now let me say something. Your calling is validated by the peace in your spirit and the fruit of your labor, not by how many people give you a standing ovation or agree with your boundaries. You understand? That's it. Your calling is defined by that, not by people who agree with, who give you, they are clapping for you, they are giving you standing ovation. No. Now, let me close by this. I have 3. I've spoken about that. I have 3 steps that I want to suggest, that I use, to suggest. I want to suggest to you, for you to be able to walk in freedom, in being disliked. Number 1, audit your cycle, your circle, audit it. Number 2, embrace discomfort. Number 3, celebrate your authenticity. Did you hear that? Audit your circle. Audit your circle. Audit it. Then embrace discomfort. Embrace discomfort, because see, you cannot be on the journey of purpose and expect ease and expect comfort throughout. And then learn to be intentional when it comes to celebrating your authenticity. Thank you so much. My name is Rosemary, and until I come your way next week on the Young Women and Wives with Burdens and Blessings discussion platform, where all we are about is the wholeness of the woman. Dear woman, your wholeness is very, very important. Stay blessed. Bye.